Welcome back, everyone, to the Boiling Point Podcast. We are on episode 38 now, and the title of this episode is The Red Planet. So we are going to be talking about Mars, and my special guest is now the Boiling Point's senior space correspondent, Uncle Mark. I can call him that, and you can't. Whitcomb. Uncle Mark, welcome back to the show. But before we actually get to what we're going to be talking about and hearing from you, let me cover all the websites that I have to do, so that people know where to find us and where they can support us. Please, sure. If you do enjoy the podcast and you want to support it, consider buying some apparel. You can do that at bonfire.com/store/the Boiling Point Podcast. Buy yourself some cool t-shirts. We have a reusable tote bag on there as well. And follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/the Boiling Point Podcast. Facebook is our primary, where we primarily operate out of, and then we use Rumble for the videos, of course. You can follow me on Instagram at JDEDESIGNz. That's with a Z. You can also visit facebook.com/JDEDESIGNz, and that's also with a Z. Buy some posters. You can also support the podcast by a poster. The money from that also goes to further help us make the podcast better, get better equipment, and that's what we're going for here. And please like, comment, share. It's important. It's for the algorithm so that we can appear in front of more people, so that we can continue to try and grow the podcast. So if you do enjoy this episode, please like, comment, or share it out. And now that we've done all that nonsense and paid the bills, let's get to why everybody tuned in, because everybody obviously is tuned in because they want to hear from Uncle Mark and they want to hear about the red planet Mars. I certainly do. So, Uncle Mark, thank you for being on the podcast. I'm very glad that you had the time to be on it again so quickly.
Hi, thank you. It's a pleasure. So, we're going to talk about the red planet Mars. First, let's talk a little bit about the planet itself. It's a cold desert world. It's about half the size of Earth. And like you said, it's called a red planet because of the iron oxide prevalent on the surface. Long ago, it was probably Earth's smaller twin. It had liquid water on the surface. It had an atmosphere, a magnetic field, and seasons. Now it's a windswept, lifeless landscape. The surface gravity on Mars is 37.5% that of Earth. A day on Mars is 24.6 Earth hours, so the day is pretty close to ours. Now, the axis is tilted 25.2 degrees, so it has seasons like Earth, but it has a longer orbit, and it's a little more elliptical. So a year for those is 687 Earth days to equal a Martian year.
Wow.
Now, the surface temperature on Mars sometimes will reach 70 degrees. Other times, the range goes from 70 to minus 225. So it has an average of minus 81 degrees. So, antifreeze will freeze on Mars.
Yeah, that's cold then. Yeah, that's not where.
Now, our robotic evidence shows long gone lakes and rivers, volcanoes. There's still some active volcanoes. There's a lot of extinct ones too, but it also shows pyramids and massive ruins, on the planet.
Really?
Yes. Now, the northern hemisphere is all low-lying plains. The southern hemisphere has mountains, volcanoes, hills and mountains and stuff. Interestingly enough, Mars has always been associated with war. The Romans, of course, called it Mars, which we still call it Mars. The Greeks called it Ares, which was also their god of war. So, the tie to war itself will soon become evident as we get to talking a little bit more about this. Now, our scientists, they believe that something slammed into Mars near its south pole. They think the debris from it formed the two moons, Phobos and Deimos. It scattered the red dust all over the planet, and it shattered their atmosphere and their oceans. Now, I believe that this was the planet Rahab, and we're going to talk more about this later. But apparently,
we also covered that in our previous episode, Ancient Civilizations. So if you haven't seen that episode, then I suggest you pause this episode, go watch that episode, and then come on back.
Yeah, so we'll get into that a little more in detail here, but apparently Mars had two very large nuclear explosions in its past. They left no craters, so it was air triggered. It irradiated its surface with energetic neutrons. It scattered radioactive debris globally all over the globe of the thing. It filled the atmosphere with fast neutron fusion xenon. Now, the evidence is consistent with an airburst detonation. You want to know who we think did it and why? Follow us in Rumble. Follow us to Rumble. You'll find out.
All right. Well, we are going to make this a short YouTube segment, and that is completely fine because we want people to go to Rumble. So if you were watching on YouTube, you need to switch over to Rumble right now and to hear the rest. So if you want to hear more, switch over to Rumble. If you're already watching on Rumble, give us just a second, and we'll be right back into it.